In reality, prices should go down over time. And historically, that's what prices did. For all of human history, except for brief periods of time when you have money dilution, you have deflation over time. A great example of this is the period of time from 1870 through 1910. You had deflation, in other words, prices naturally went down over time, and people thrived financially because even though prices were going down, and even though wages were going down, real wealth and real wages kept on going up. In other words, everybody was getting a lot more for less. The cost of acquiring goods and services, in other words, wealth, went down so fast that everybody kept on getting wealthier and wealthier, even though the nominal amount of wealth might have been going down. If that's confusing, imagine you have a salary of $100,000 this year, and next year, your salary goes down to $90,000. But also imagine during that time, the house that you were looking at buying went from $500,000 to $200,000. The car you were looking at buying went from $50,000 to $15,000. That food, that restaurant that you liked eating at, used to cost you $100 for a meal. Now it costs you $40 for a meal. If your cost of living drops significantly, you don't actually care if your income drops a little bit because your money goes so much farther than it did before. That's how things worked for all of human history because the money supply was so constant and was so anchored to reality because you had to mine gold to get more money that as the total pile of wealth grew and there were more goods and services, you had less money chasing more stuff. That's deflation. It's the opposite of what we have today, which is where the money supply grows faster than the pile of goods and services. So you have more money chasing less goods, less stuff. And in fact, in the 1977 Reform Act, the government specifically stated that they wanted the Federal Reserve to maintain a long-run growth of the monetary and credit aggregates commensurate with the economy's long-run potential to increase production. In other words, they didn't want the real stuff, the real wealth, the goods and services to grow at a faster pace than the money supply. They wanted to make sure the printing always exceeded that.